Looking at Bitcoin now, clawing back some of the losses from yesterday, at least in the green today, standing at about 66,875. Now, this comes after the cryptocurrency surpassed 69,000, blowing past its all-time peak briefly, and then taking a tumble. Our next guest called for Bitcoin to hit 100,000 in 2024, but retail investors still haven't come off the sidelines yet. To break down what the latest swings signal for crypto investor sentiment, Antoni Trenchev, Nexo Co-Founder, is here. Good to have you back on the show here. So, how much of the movements that we've seen so far in this past week are about investor sentiment versus some profit taking or some other factors at play?
Well, to me, 100,000 is, in the cards for this year. So I think we have a long way to go. In crypto, we care about purchasing power and sound money. So the inflation-adjusted all-time high is now at $79,000, and so we have a little bit yet to climb to reach that, if you permit me this joke. But I think what is most important here is that the macroeconomic backdrop is perfect. Last time we were trading at those levels, interest rates were closer to zero. Now they're above 5%. And then you have to think about structurally who's holding Bitcoin. It is people like me who you would have a very hard time convincing to sell their Bitcoin. Push comes to shove, I might buy some put options, but that's as far as I would go. Then the ETFs are just gobbling up all the supply that is out there. And you have some hot money traders on the long and the short side. And those are the ones who are responsible for the wild swings we saw yesterday, for instance.
Yeah, the gains in Bitcoin certainly going to benefit you, Nexo, which is an exchange, right? I mean, what kind of surge in activity have you seen personally for Nexo? And talk to me about that mix of investors you just talked about. How is this different from what we saw when the last peak was hit in November of 2021?
Well, at Nexo, we service close to 6 million clients at present. And, we have Bitcoin holders and believers who went long a very long time ago, as low as $20,000 when they invested. So they're up several 100%. What they're doing right now is they borrow against their holdings, which, at the loan to value ratio of about 50%, you can take out the capital that you invested. And if, God forbid, we end up with Bitcoin being worthless, I doubt this is what happened, is you have protected your capital. So we see a lot of people that are just borrowing against their crypto. We see some institutions coming in, companies and startups that have invested in crypto coming on board as clients. But, what eerily is missing is the frenzy of retail buyers, new people coming in, retail buyers, and this is usually indicative of the top. So I think we're still quite far from it.
So, Antoni, what is going to be that next catalyst that gets more retail investors on board here, especially as we're already toying with some record highs here? What would be the incentive?
Well, I think via the ETFs, you have a whole new class of, excuse me for the term, but boomers coming in, and they are price agnostic as to where exactly Bitcoin stands today. They're getting their calls from their financial advisors who are telling them allocate 1 or 2%. Worst comes to worst, it might be a failed investment, but it's not going to harm your overall portfolio. And the way it has been performing, there is an asymmetric risk-reward ratio to be had here. So these are people that are coming in and they have a very high thresholds of pain. Same goes for the existing holders. So I think it will continue to go up just based on this dynamics. And then at some point, everybody will FOMO, the fear of missing out will become so strong that they will get sucked into the market. This will go with the creation of leverage. And that is when we will have the interim top. But I again think we are a bit far from it still.
Antoni, how have Bitcoin ETFs affected Nexo specifically? I mean, the argument seems to be that there's an easier entry point through ETFs. That means that users, investors don't necessarily have to go through exchanges like Nexo. Has it helped you? Has it provided a bump because of the sheer visibility of something like Bitcoin now, or are you finding that you're kind of have to share the space with some other players now?
We are happy to share the space with the Larry Finks of this world, because they bring in a whole different set of investors who would not necessarily come to crypto native exchanges. So it's very different. One, they start off from their brokerage accounts, wherever they might be, from dollars. It's very easy for them. We have an offering for people who want to actually hold and self-custody and have access to the underlying assets, which are Bitcoin and all the other different cryptos. So we don't feel like that's a competition, but rather a supplementary way of getting access, and we are excited about that.
And Antoni, just very quickly, a lot of people wondering about the likelihood and what it might look like for an Ether spot ETF. What are your expectations there?
Well, I think that the SEC will have a very difficult time denying Ethereum spot ETF, just based on the same legal rules that force them to approve the Bitcoin ETF. There is existing futures-based Ethereum ETFs, and just like the analogy is, they can postpone it, but I don't think they can deny it. And I would be very happy to see that happen in 2024, and I think this is what will happen.